Here's what you're sure? You can hear me in the back? Okay. I just don't hear. Here's what I think. I think the most important power that the president has is to convince, not politicians, but America what needs to be done. Because the one mistake that I think has been made by people who come into the Oval Office is they think this is all about negotiating with the leadership of the Congress. That needs to be done. You can't ignore them. You have to treat them respectfully, bring them into the Oval Office, talk to them, give them your view, listen to their views. But the most important thing is to convince America what needs to be done. I'll give you an example. Let's just talk about health care. We use that as an example. I would walk out on the White House lawn and say to America, we need universal health care. We're paying too much for health care. We have 45 million people without it. And here's what I want to do. And then I would describe what I want to do. And then I would say, you know what's coming. We're going to see millions of dollars spent by drug companies and insurance companies to keep us from getting the health care that we need, that America needs, that you need. But every time, let me finish. That's a very good question. It's an important question. And then I will say, every time you see one of those ads, I want you to remember who's paying for it. Because I'm telling you, every ad you see, I can tell you who's going to be paying for it. The very people who are charging you so much money for your health care. The very people who have billions of dollars invested in seeing this system never change. And you know who's paying those billions of dollars? You are. And they're spending your money to buy ads to keep you from getting the health care that you deserve. We have to put a stop to this. I know you want to keep talking. Go ahead.
I'm 83 years old. And I am on half of my income now because I'm away. And I still have to pay over $3,000 a year for health care, for a Medicare prescription and coverage, besides what I have to pay for my prescription.
It's not right. It's not right. The reason it's still that way is because we have not taken on and beaten down the drug companies and insurance companies. It's that simple. I mean, I know how they operate. I know how they keep things from changing and keep us from doing anything. We have to take them on head on, and we have to beat them. And it is with the president alone, he'll have a difficult time doing that. But the president, with the American people, can make this happen. Because the politicians will do what the American people require. I mean, I'll give you an example. You look at what's happened on this mess of a war in Iraq. The American people have moved, and now the politicians have moved. Even Republicans, who are now saying what's happening in Iraq is not okay, we have to change what's going on there. That's a direct result of a shift by the American people. If we convince America, if I as president convince America, and I don't believe it's hard, that we need universal health care and that they need to speak up and be behind me in my effort to enact universal health care, I think we will be able to get it done. And I think while we at the same time say we've got to stop the influence of these lobbyists, these corporate lobbyists in Washington. I mean, they have a job, and that job is to convince members of Congress to do something. And what they do, of course, is they go over and lobby during the day, and you know what they do at night. They raise money for the politicians, right? So they're lobbying in the day, and at night, they're raising money for the politicians. To me, it's sort of like a lawyer who goes into a courtroom whose job it is to convince the jury that they're supposed to do something. But if you give the jury money, that's called a bribe. In Washington, when the lobbyists give money to their jury, which is the members of Congress, that's called politics. We have to change this game because we are suffering so. I mean, I just listened to your story. You're spending, what'd you say, $3,000 a year for your medicine and for your health care? I saw a man, some of you may have heard me, I mentioned this in the debate, but I saw a man in Virginia. I did a poverty tour a few weeks ago. I started in New Orleans, ended up in the Appalachian Mountains. And the last place I went, in the last day, I was meeting with 4 or 5 people in the morning, and I met this man who's 51 years old, 3 years younger than me, and he had lived for 50 years of his life with a cleft palate, and he couldn't talk. And it was completely fixable. But it hadn't been fixed because he didn't have health care. And he couldn't pay to get it fixed. And finally somebody had come along and volunteered to fix it. He lived for 50 years in America, not able to speak because he didn't have the health care that he needed. And I listened to him, and he was very generous and noble, and You know, I'm so grateful somebody finally came along and helped me with this, John. I really appreciate it. I didn't feel noble. I thought it was outrageous that somebody could live in our country, America, for 50 years not able to talk because they couldn't get the health care that they needed. When are we finally going to stand up to these people? When are we going to take them on and change this system? That's what we need in the President of the United States. Somebody with backbone and passion and courage who will take these people on. That's what we need.
My name is Joanne. I'm from Dallas Center as well. And I am a school administrator at Des Moines Public Schools. And education is also at an infrastructure crisis level. No Child Left Behind has greatly hurt us in narrowing our curriculum, creating assessments that do not reflect what we teach in the classroom. And more importantly, the kids are not coming out prepared either to go to college or into the workforce because of the narrowing curriculum that we have. We're working under an antiquated calendar, antiquated length of day. When the kids in our country reach 12th grade, they're average of 2 years behind kids in competing nations because of the number of contact minutes we don't have with our kids. So my question is, how do we reverse what has been done and then move forward to the future and create schools that are reflective of what's needed in the 21st century?
It's a very good question, a very important question. We can spend the rest of the time on this, so let me try to be brief. Let's start with No Child Left Behind. Let's talk about how we undo the damage, and then let's talk about what we should do in the future. No Child Left Behind. The way I think about No Child Left Behind is what it does is if you just visualize in your head a standard that is needed. And let's say a group of students come in and they're way above that standard, but they learn nothing during the year. And they go down and down and down, but they end up above the line. That school is making good progress. And then you have a school and a group of students who start way below the line and make huge strides, but don't get above it. That school is failing. This is crazy. It makes absolutely no sense. And on top of the fact, and we went through this with our daughter, who you saw up here just a minute ago, that she finished this past year 3rd grade in public school in North Carolina. And as we saw how much of her time, and her classes time, was spent getting ready for the test at the end of the year. I mean, these tests are incredibly intrusive. They make it difficult to prepare the students for the future, which is exactly what you're talking about. They're arbitrary. The standards that just talked about are arbitrary. The thing's never been funded the way it was supposed to be. And on top of that, when we actually find a school that's struggling, we punish it. And that's a great idea. You got a school that's struggling, students aren't getting what they need. Here's an idea. Let's take the money away from the school. Then they'll do much better. It has to be changed. It has to be changed. That's very substantial. And in all the ways that I just talked about. We should be measuring the individual student performance from the beginning of the year to the end of the year based on a number of criteria, not one. Second, we need to, schools that are struggling, we need to go in and make sure they have the resources and support and expertise that they need to turn the school around. But I'm like you, I don't want us to get so No Child Left Behind centric that we forget about the bigger picture of what we need to be doing. And I think that we should treat education as a birth to death experience in America, which means we ought to get to children just as soon as we possibly can. Significant expansion of early childhood. Much younger, better education and training of those who are teaching early childhood programs, taking care of the health care and nutritional needs of those children, because we know from the studies that's the time that you can have the most impact. I think we need to raise base teacher pay, but I think we also need to provide incentive pay to get our best teachers to go to the places where we need them the most. It's so hard to attract and recruit good teachers to hard, difficult places, rural areas, inner city schools. And then, I think also we ought to make it easier for kids to go to college. I have an idea called College for Everyone, where basically, if they're willing to work 10 hours a week, first year of school, or first year of college, we pay for their tuition and books. Make it really easy, called College for Everyone, which we've done in East Elizabeth and some others have done in Eastern North Carolina as a model. It's worked really well. And then I think the hardest question, which I don't have an answer to, is what do you do to create an infrastructure for ongoing work? Once you finish high school or college, wherever you finish your formal education, well, so that when you 10 years out of school, 15 years out of school.